Joining us right now from somewhere around the world in a secret location that nobody knows but him, it's Mike from around the world. Mike, how you doing?
God bless you, Pastor Paul. Good to be here tonight.
Oh, no. Wait a minute.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, but no one else does. Let's try that again. Say it again.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That's you. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Good. Very good, Pastor Paul. Very good.
Mike, it's great to have you on tonight. There's so much to ask you about and talk about. Wow. Okay, but first of all, airplanes. Here we go again. And we got the one that crashed in Alaska, killing 10. We have two little planes, mid-air collisions outside of Tucson. We have the plane that lands in Toronto and unbelievably rolls over, breaks its wings, and catches fire, and everybody lives. I mean, that was a miracle hand of God. But Mike. Yeah. Is there different reasons that this is happening? Is the atmospheric compression part of this? Is somebody cyber hacking and hijacking them? I mean, what's your answers here?
I'm looking at those aircraft issues. They seem to have some sort of equipment issue. For example, the last aircraft, the aircraft that turned upside down.
Yeah.
If you look at it landing, its glide path was very steep, right? As though it had a false altitude reading. That can happen with a TCAS system. TCAS system and several systems on that aircraft, which, by the way, are externally hackable. I believe that we have issues with their collision avoidance systems.
Yeah.
TCAS, right?
Yep.
That's one of them. And the GPS systems are being spoofed, it seems. That's my opinion.
So they're hackable. So you're saying they are hackable.
Yeah, those are actually somebody could actually spoof a part of the TCAS system. They could spoof the GPS system, causing the aircraft to think that no traffic is around or fake traffic is around.
Yeah.
And it would cause that aircraft would actually take some sort of avoidance measure, right? In this case, these aircraft can't see each other, right? So that's a pretty consistent issue. Or their altitude setting is off.
Okay.
Right? Both would have, it's a pretty high probability that the traffic alert and collision avoidance system has been spoofed to some degree in both cases. So, that's got my attention. We do live in a world where the average person can get a hold of radio equipment to spoof or to set up fake GPS data systems and fake TCAS systems. So, that's more than probable, and it's not going to stop. It's going to continue to happen. It will continue to happen. We also have pressure changes. Your altitude is going to be based on atmospheric pressure and some other properties. But if the atmosphere itself, if the constants, mathematical constants of the atmosphere change, right? The aircraft, all aircrafts are not going to be able to calibrate quick enough without ATC assistance. And so barometric pressure is fluctuating so badly. I'm sure that a lot of people felt that with these two storms that came through, with the pain in the body, because the liquids in your bodies, the liquid in your body will actually have to regulate and kind of balance itself with the pressure outside, causing pain. With aircraft, if it gets beyond a specific threshold, that aircraft is going to have to make some major adjustments, and you have systems that do this. So, we have atmospheric issues, but I think that someone is spoofing the aircraft. I think someone is spoofing the aircraft.
Mike, you said this was going to happen for different reasons, probably for the atmospheric compression, but I'm with you about the spoofing because it happened the day after we had a new transportation secretary. When Sean Duffy, the day he took over, the plane crashed in Washington D.C., which was the doomsday plane, or the what they call continuance of government. That's the last helicopter on Earth that should crash. That's the most secured, protected one. That's the one that comes in to save the government if there's a catastrophic event. So, and then one after another, after another, after another, all over the country, and it's just crazy. This can't be a coincidence. I don't believe in that.
No, I don't think so either.
It's just crazy.
I don't think so either. Yeah, a long time ago, Pastor Paul, when everything was going digital, right?
Yeah.
And I do tinker with a lot of digital equipment, radio equipment, electronics, things of that nature. And a long time ago, I could see everything going towards this Internet of Things pattern or platform framework. Of course, when that framework is installed, it would give the average person the ability to look into all systems. And I mean anybody, a child, if they had the knowledge, they could do it too. Right now, the system is set up, the framework of communications is set up that anybody could grab a signal out of the sky, replicate it, and send it back. Right? It's all digital.
Wow.
So if a person, knowing these kids are going to be computer savvy, they can get a hold, they are tuned to these digital networks and frameworks. And so they grow up and they become hackers. So we're in a time where the average person can be a deadly hacker, right?
Unbelievable.
And this is the time we're living in now, not only aircraft, but you're also looking at ships,
the USS.
Seacraft. We've had ships that just, collisions with those also. You're looking at vehicles, same thing. Tesla vehicles, same thing, right? Now, they don't report all those crashes when you have these vehicles that crash into homes and houses. And every single time one of these autonomous vehicles, they crash into somebody's house, do you not know that a cleanup crew comes within about 2 minutes? No matter where it is, in about 2 minutes. They are not nice to the people that live there at that house. They're not. They will shoot you if you get in the way.
What?
And they clean up, they take the car off, and they're gone. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
So there's weird things happening for the sake of this framework being set up. And I believe part of it is so many people have access to the system right now. You don't know who's who.
That's true.
The average person with an iPhone can actually do some real damage if they knew how, right? Now, with all these people who have gotten out of the armed services, or maybe they're sitting at home or something like that, they could possibly be radicalized by all different types of things out there, whether it be, politics, whether it be a religion or something like that. You just don't know who is who, right?
Yeah.
These attacks can come from many different places. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, Pastor Paul, until people start demanding biometric authentication, period. I say that once a year. And there it is again. People are going to request that they lock down the internet. They're going to say no more, username and passwords. We need biometric data, that type of access.
Yeah, you're saying they're going to demand
so it's non-hackable.
Yeah, yes. they're going to cry for a system that they'll wish they never had. But that's what's going to happen. It's because much theft, and so much hacking, and so much stolen identities that people are going to demand a more secure system. And then
car crashes, electrical grids, back EMF. There's something else about to happen to some of the electrical grids. So nobody should be surprised if a power station blows up, or just automatically turns into a big ball of sparks. Back EMF can be generated and sent right back to the power station with all these relays that we have now. Essentially, these relays on these homes can act as a large switching MOSFET, which can direct all that energy back to the power station, causing a hideous type of plume to show up with electrical sparks, like a big ball of lightning. Right?
Wow.
It looked like a science experiment. But if somebody hacked our system, that can also happen. People are going to start saying weird things like that. They're going to demand that our system be, locked down.
Mike, also in the Middle East, change gears a moment. There was 3 buses exploded tonight at about 8:30 this evening in Israel, and then they found more buses, and I don't know how many more because I heard at least 2 more that you may know better. And those buses had bombs in them that were set for 8:30 tomorrow morning. So they're believing that the 3 they set it for the wrong time. They set PM instead of AM. And if that would have happened, if all 5 buses would have exploded tomorrow morning, hundreds of people would have probably been killed in a terrorist attack in Tel Aviv. Do you have any intel or any information you can share with us on what's going on with this in the midst of this war that's going on?
Well, perhaps the same thing that's happening here in the USA. Remember I told you about the people crawling under the ground?
Yes, I do remember you saying that.
You have entire groups of people who are alienated. They are angry, and they will retaliate. You better believe that those buses. It's just one out of a bunch of things that will start happening like that. If they actually got to the buses, and I know that other items are rigged.
Yes.
Buildings are rigged.
Yes.
POVs are rigged.
Trains.
So if they're already rigged, they're waiting. And this is payback. If you take notice about something in the Middle East, if you attempt a tactic on people in the Middle East, they live for revenge. Keep in mind, they follow a different faith ideology than we do. Right?
Yep.
In the Middle East, for example, Isfahan or Iran, and some of the ideologies that they have in the Islamic world in the Middle East, they will always blame everything on the Jews.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
This is from their upbringing, from a child to adulthood. This is what they're taught. So if bird flu breaks out, they will always tie it 6 steps to the Jews, always. That's why you always hear somebody pop out and say something against the Jews. Also, anybody out there who likes to talk against the Jews, you're following the Islamic protocol when you do that. That's a spirit.
It's a spirit.
That's a spirit that is spiritually driving people, but they are bent on revenge. It's in their religion. So think about it. They blew up the pagers, right?
Yeah.
So then their vengeful act was to blow up the buses.
Yep.
But they're not done yet, because in proportion to what they, to all the people they killed, they're gonna kill on the order of probably 3 or 4 times more. They're not going to stop until they do it.
That's their plan.
They will not stop until they do it, and it will come in multiple ways, and it will come fast. And just like this prisoner exchange.
Oh my!
Remember, we talked a long time ago, and we said, well, if they're alive, if the prisoners are alive, because these guys are, they're probably dead. A lot of those folks are gone.
Yeah,
they have passed, and there is no returning them. But they're calling the bluff of all those in the Middle East, Pastor Paul. You better believe they have something set up.
Yep.
To back up everything they're doing. So they're just not having these acts as these, senseless acts. No, there's a method behind what they're doing. These guys are ruthless, right?
Yep.
They have been, they're very lethal, and they will most certainly devote all their skill sets to the takedown of Israel, right?
Yep.
And us. Keep this in mind. If they did that in Tel Aviv, something will happen here in the USA.
Yeah, because it's big Satan and little Satan.
They will never separate the two. In their religion, Pastor Paul, the USA has to be on fire when Israel is being destroyed, and their Dajjal will come, and then after all that, the Mahdi will come. That's their religion. Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of that, and that religion is not just, guys, this isn't just a battle between Hamas and Israel. This is a Islamic terrorist apocalyptic ideology of eschatology of the last days. And for instance, what happened in the Congo, and I reported on this Sunday night, how that 70 Christians were beheaded and left sitting in the pews of a church. It was an evangelical Baptist church in the Congo. They beheaded 70 people, 70 Christians, and left them sitting in pews with, and Jesus sent 70 out by two to go spread the gospel. So they know what they're doing when they pick the number 70. But how wicked is this? How evil is this, Mike?
That's right. Now, I think these are a foreshadowing, right, of a kingdom that is slowly rising upon the earth. It's spread to just about all corners. And once the USA and for example, Italy, right? Italy is about to have a problem.
Okay, talk about that. What do you mean by that?
Well, Italy has geological problems right now, right? And it's more than those volcanic systems in the Aegean Sea and surrounding areas. Italy is sitting on top of Naples in particular, on top of a monster that has the ground is actually deformed. They have large creases that have taken place. Methane is shooting up out of the ground, so you have a lot of sulfur and methane, and they're analyzing these gases, and the gases are coming from these are magma emissions. These are not just normal gases; these are magma emissions. They're doing a depth check now. They're looking at the geology to see how threatening this is, and so far it is very threatening. Very threatening. That's why I expect an explosion, an eruption there. Now, this is a super volcano. This is not just some, tiny volcano. So if it goes, you're looking at a huge area being affected by this, right?
Will it also affect Greece? That Santorini? I mean, do you think it could set off a chain reaction over there?
Well, if that one if Campi goes, right, it will have enough force to affect just about any caldera out there, because it's pretty deep. And it will affect, Santorini. It will affect Greece and Corsair and Palma and all these different places. So, it will affect a large area. You're looking at an eruption that will affect the Adriatic Sea all the way to the Baltic Sea, the eastern side of the Baltic Sea. So that would just be, that'd be heartbreaking. And
millions of people would die. Millions.
Yeah, a whole lot more than the 6 million that are in Italy. It would absolutely swallow that place. And you're looking at long-term damage. When those volcanoes go off, it will affect the entire northern hemisphere. That's a super volcano that makes Yellowstone look like a Tic Tac. That's what it makes Yellowstone look like. So it is very dangerous. It is alive. It's getting worse. It's fed by a super caldera below a caldera. This is something that they're running into now. They're finding these, like Yellowstone, the Yellowstone caldera. Right?
Yeah.
Well, they found another caldera below the Yellowstone caldera. They found a caldera below, the Campi system and Santorini system. So there are these very deep, large calderas, magma chambers below the magma chambers, right?
Wow.
And that's just not it's not a good thing, because if you look at the Earth and all the activity taking place on the Earth, the weather patterns are a telltale symptom that something is acting upon our planet. And then when you start looking at the sun, other than, its solar maximum, something is acting upon the sun. And then when you start thinking about the sheer number of inbound debris or rocks or, all these meteorites that we have coming in, something is affecting all the planets, right?
Yes.
And it continues to increase by way of its force. And when you start listening to the experts who constantly watch space, they have found two magnetars out there. Those are Earth killers, they call them. Two magnetars that are too close for comfort, right? They will have those crustal quakes, they call them. And if it has a crustal quake, it'll blow off half our atmosphere in less than seconds. So they found two of them. Some of the scientists are quite scared by them, but there's absolutely nothing anybody can do.
So these are, Jupiter, you call them, they're magnetars.
A magnetar is the scariest thing we could ever encounter. You'd rather have 6 binary stars coming close and have a magnetar near you.
Oh, right? Okay.
A magnetar is smaller than our moon.
Okay.
But it is so incredibly dense that if a 1-inch piece of that magnetar, a 1-inch cube piece, right, a piece about the size of a sugar cube, if that sugar cube shifted 3 millimeters, it would release enough power to destroy the entire Earth. How about that? That's how dense this is. That's how dense it is. Okay. It's a collapsed star, magnetar is. So that one little tiny piece of a sugar cube, that sugar cube, by the way, would weigh more than the Earth.
No. Yes. What's it made of?
That's how much force, right, is collapsed in on this star, the magnetar. That's why they're so dangerous. So if it starts to shift, and all of them do, it will, it's going to cause us some issues and problems. And they found 2 of them too close for comfort. They found quite a few things too close to us, but the magnetars pose a big risk. There's nothing anybody can do. We're literally, existing every single day by God's grace alone.
By borrowed time. Okay, since you're talking about this, this asteroid 2024 YR4, when they first found it, which was December, they said it had a 1.2% chance it could hit the Earth. Now they've upped it to 2.2, 2.6. Now it's 3.6% chance. I guess it's because it's 7 years out, but really, I went and looked at the NASA thing they have, and you can actually watch it go around, and you can watch the Earth, and you see where they meet. And in 2028, they come very close, but they say it's 2032 when it's all bets are off. 3.6. Mike, how come? Well, I guess because the more information we get, the better calculation we get. Is that what's going on here?
Yeah. Also, I'm going to bring everybody into the realm of reality here.
Okay.
Anything you find on the internet, right?
Yeah.
It's always going to be censored. It's always going to be utilized to calm the masses.
Yeah.
You can double check that by seeing the how reliable the JPL mapping system is, and the NASA mapping system is, with common meteor showers. Now, if they have flaws with a common meteor shower, then they're not even close to the real deal of things that are out there. And but most the real experts will tell you, if you put your finger, hold your finger arm's length out into the sky, then what your fingertip covers is how much of the sky we can actually watch.
That's nothing.
We don't know everything else around your finger. We don't know what's out there. That's a good comparison of what we have mapped and what's unmapped.
So we got incoming coming from everywhere.
Like Apophis.
Okay.
Think of Apophis, right?
All right.
There's a reason I don't worry about Apophis, because Apophis represents one item of a millionth of a percent of those real terrors out there, right?
Yep.
We're going to have other problems before Apophis even, comes close. If there's no guarantee the asteroid belt is going to be intact when it comes. If our asteroid belt is out of alignment, we're in trouble. The Earth's orbit there's something happening with the orbit of the Earth even right now. So all calculations are going to be off in another year, right?
Is that because of Planet X? Is the binary system is pulling on everything? Is that what's throwing everything off?
In the Bible, when it says that the Earth is going to
reel and rock
like a drunkard.
Yeah.
Well, it'll look like to us down here that the stars are out of position. And I told everybody in one night they're going to see the moon rise in one night. When that happens, we're not going to have our same orbit. We just won't. Now, we're going to live fine down here, right? Because we're still in a Goldilocks zone,
Yeah.
but we're not going to have the same orbit. Now, how do we know this? Because there's a planet already. It's out of position. We're not talking about retrograde. Nope, it's out of
Well, I
position.
mean, is it Mars? Is it
Things
Venus?
are happening in our solar system that are, I mean, they're these. It shouldn't happen, but it did, and we're going to come next. It's only a matter of time before we are affected by too. Plus, they've already found that one of the civilization killers is one of the planets in our solar system. Think of it this way. Think of Mercury, right? Just think of Mercury. Every, I don't know, 13,000 years, let's say Mercury is pulled into one direction, which brings its orbit near ours, a little too close to ours, right?
Okay.
That will be an external force every so often, not the long duration. This is a short duration. That's essentially a scenario that's being looked at right now. That one of the inner planets is going to be thrown out of its orbit, and it could very well get in our way, right? So we've had stability for a long time, but how many people are counting on one of our own planets
You're not
hopping
saying
its orbit or coming out of its own orbit to come close to Earth?
no. None of us are
Nobody is thinking about that,
No,
right?
no.
Yet, when they do observations of these inner planets, why is it that they have telltale marks of being in our proximity of the solar system, right? Some of the telltale marks. Some of the rocks and some of the debris they found on Mars matches some of the inner planets. Things like that have happened. So we know at one point there was a chaotic moment in our solar system, and the planets essentially rearranged themselves. Why do the ancients have the planets in a different order?
Yeah, I know. I
Why?
know.
So
I know.
something, and we're not talking about this story of Tiamat. There's a Trump, as he digs up this, some of these conspiracy theories,
Yeah.
right? He's going to cause many to exclude the myth, some of these myths that have been circulating. That's a good thing, because that means people won't be locked into false narratives, and they can get back down to the truth. And when they get closer to this truth, then they'll be able to see that what could kill us is right in our backyard.
So, I mean, he's already confirmed chemtrails. Okay. He's already turned loose JFK files, which, now we're finding out there was at least 2 shooters, maybe more, for Bobby Kennedy and John F. Kennedy. But are you saying that the Planet X, I mean, are you saying that there will be is there going to be a confirmation of some kind of binary system that's...
Well, we have historical holes, right?
Okay.
We have too many civilizations that just... they were taken down overnight, essentially.
Yeah,
right?
That's true.
Many times on this Earth. We have debris from Mars here on this Earth, and some of the debris from Mercury is here on this Earth.
That's crazy.
Why? Right? People used to see Jupiter close up. Jupiter was the biggest object in the sky, bigger than the sun, bigger than the moon. Why? That means Earth did not always hold this orbit, yet people lived on this Earth. I don't think anybody's used to some of the planetary arrangements that you see historically etched in stone. There are forbidden places where they will not share the imagery that's etched into rock, showing what people of the past saw. They did not see the night sky like us. Right? They just did not. Orion, for example, was in a total different position back in the day than it is right now.
That's why it gets talked about in the Bible a lot.
That's right. The Pleiades likewise. And things were coming from, whenever Orion was in a specific position, lights would come from Orion to Earth. And that was a portents, its position was a portents of a type doom that would come upon the Earth. And sure enough, things would take place. So, but all that's forgotten knowledge. Why? Because people, they have theorized so much. They've theorized all the way away from the truth. That's why some of the information that people they believe is true doesn't even match the Bible. And I don't know
No.
about anybody else, but
Yeah.
Revelation and the Bible itself, they're very true to me. Um,
Yes.
but there's a lot of theories out there that are not even close to what the Lord said.
Mm-hmm.
But people believe in them, and until they're proven wrong, they won't let them go. Right.
Well, they
So,
believe because they don't know the Bible, so they believe
right,
false. You know, I think even
and that's what they push.
Apostle Paul said,
Yeah.
don't believe science falsely. In other words,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
check with the scripture first, right?
Right. That's what they believe. So as we get as we continue to go, a lot of things are going to be disproven. As supernatural things are seen, then other folks will just shut their mouths and stop saying what does not exist. They're going to have to live in a world that they did not expect to live in. And
Wow.
that goes with, what's going to happen to the earth. I believe it's going to become clear to all of us that we never had all the answers,
Amen.
right? Especially when the void comes close. And I keep calling it a void because that's the best name I can give it. Think of something in the sky, Pastor Paul, that is so dark. It absorbs light around it. We're not talking about a black hole.
No.
But we're talking about something that it looks like a ball of blackness, right? With purple tentacles coming out of it. Just think of that. That makes no sense, but that's the closest description I can give. And we're going to have to deal with that.
We'll come back to that again. I got to think that one over a minute. Hey, let me ask you a question. The Pope obviously is very ill. Cardinals are seen coming into Rome in the airport. They've been seen going into the Vatican. The Swiss Guard has admitted they are practicing for the funeral. The Pope himself, I guess, has said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Do you have any intel on what's happening here? Is he worse
sick.
than what we know?
He's been sick for a while.
Yeah.
He's been sick for a while. And, the Pope himself said that his time was close. Right.
Yeah.
He's, to my understanding, he's been transferring things. You know how they get things ready. He's been doing that for quite some time now. That could explain why he had so many. He had just about every single culture come to visit the Vatican in the last year and a half.
Ah.
Just about every single culture. And sadly, just about every single earthbound deity they brought with him. Right. So yeah, his time is close. His time is close, and they know it. So they're getting ready for that transfer.
So is he trying to also maybe dictate the next pope, and that his progressive, because he obviously was a progressive pope. Okay, he wasn't conservative at all. He's moved it way this way. Is he trying to keep that legacy going? Trying to keep that?
I think he is. I do believe he's delegating wishes. Authoritative wishes to others, letting them know what he would like to see happen and what he actually believed. And you know how they record somewhat your legacy, and he's probably trying to narrate that in a more sound way right now that he's close to it. But yeah, he's very close to it, which is real odd because I know people know about the prophecies of the Pope, but there's one statement about this Pope that right after his passing, he would the next Pope that comes in would almost have to immediately encourage the people in a time of fire.
Really? Okay. Yeah. So now we're going beyond Saint Malachi's prophecy. In other words,
yeah, that's not his prophecy. This is another one, which has been, some of those prophecies have, this one in particular has been uniquely eerie, but that the one after this one would have to deal with fire. He'd have to calm the people in
over
a time of fire.
Well, now aren't we talking about a time of fire? You've been talking about, volcanism increasing, wildfires increasing. So there's something to this prophecy. Eerie. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on that. And I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't thinking about that. I didn't know about that prophecy. And so I'm glad you brought it up. Mike, also, while we're at it, we've got a new FBI director. Can I ask, is Washington, okay, Doge, let's go to Doge for a minute. I mean, there's a lot. We got dead people getting Social Security checks. We got one guy, 369 years old, collecting a check. Here's the thing. Of the 29 million dead people getting checks, they're all getting cashed. So what's going to happen with this situation? I mean, this is way.
Well, that's money saved. But yeah, no.
Is it going to be a rebate? You think Trump's going to do a big rebate for people?
He probably will. I know he will. He will. The people will get. He will. But all these areas of waste. Here's the process. You can't find just the areas of waste, right, and stop that. What you have to do is you have to stop the entire system and do some checks and balances and then restart the system. Right. So that's what he's doing. I'm hoping that the people will give them just a little time. It's going to take time, because what normally happens, Pastor Paul, is when somebody has a good idea, and we live in this world of, let's not forget that Satan was named the god of this world, and he has the heaviest influence over this world. So he's not going to just sleep while good things are happening.
No.
So Elon Musk and his teams are finding all of this waste by way of computer systems, right? It's a lot. It's a lot. And when he finds it, the only recourse he has is to almost shut down the whole thing, to, eliminate those areas of waste and then start it back up again. Is what he wants to do in a more efficient manner, so that mistake does not happen. Well, that takes, that'll take maybe 15 to 20 days. That's all. Not even long. It takes about 15, 20 days. What could happen, though, is when he does this, people will start to become frightened. People will become a little angry, and then then the blowback happens.
So it's in other words, we need to be cautious, that because when they go to change how things have been done, there could be a little bit of trepidation. We may have to endure just a little bit until they fix it. Is that what you're saying? Don't panic.
Yeah,
don't.
Because you're talking about $80 billion a day going nowhere, right? there are 3 people who got kickbacks of $2 billion a month. Okay, these are senators who received kickbacks of $2 billion a month. There are some other senators, each one is receiving about $10 billion a month. So all this is being found out. And the reason they did not want to shut them, they didn't want certain things to be simplified, is because their kickback was from that system.
Oh, of course.
All right. All this is going to be found out.
Yeah.
And it's not really, because I'll tell you something, if everybody thinks it's going to be a bunch of Democrats, you're wrong.
No, there's going to be a lot of rhinos.
It's all across the board.
Yeah.
So you have people who did wrong things at the expense of other people, thinking that nobody could ever find out. And they hit it deep in the code of computers. Mm-hmm. Well, it just so happens that Elon, he can go in that code, and his teams can find it. And that's what he's been doing, essentially. Yeah. That's why he wants access to the computers, because they're keeping a record of all the programs they're running to hide those funds. Yeah. Now, with the money savings, that means they could literally, I was going over some of the numbers, they could take the taxes and slash all taxes, right? What they say, slash them by 80%.
Yeah.
And this country would still be, what they say, 6 times more prosperous than it ever has been. That's how much we're losing off this stuff.
So could you imagine if they cut everybody's taxes by 80%, the economy would explode with growth. Yeah.
But guess what? If saving this money, that's precisely what they can do. And they wouldn't even, they could probably cut it much more, but they want to find all of that and get rid of it. And of course, when you start cleaning up any system, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yeah. It's scary. People are going to be, they're going to cause fear behind it.
There'll be some rumors. There'll be some false rumors.
Yeah. But once it's complete, it's complete. This reminds me of the Roosevelt time. Something similar happened in the time of Roosevelt. It did.
Okay.
And this just reminds me of the Roosevelt time historically, because there was pushback to the change that was taking place then. He had pushback. Lincoln had pushback in his time, right? Lincoln abolished slavery. Yep. Nobody wanted that, right? Nobody did. All of these guys had assassination attempts. Roosevelt had assassination attempt, just like Donald Trump. That's funny, isn't it?
That's right.
Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
He had an assassination attempt just like Donald Trump.
Anytime.
And so,
okay, now while we're on it, Fort Knox, is the gold in Fort Knox? I've always wondered about it. I mean, they haven't had an audit since 1974, and when they did,
they tried.
So
they tried.
Is the gold there?
Pastor, it was 10 years ago, right?
Okay, yeah.
There were four, I'm not going to name them, four senators were slotted to go to Fort Knox.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you know it, right, when they were about to enter into Fort Knox, the whole thing was scrubbed, right?
Yeah.
Some genius came up and said they want to time it during the eclipse so they can see the gold and the eclipse at the same time. Then before that, there was an attempt. It was scrubbed. Then before that, there was an attempt. It was scrubbed. So it seems like someone with power beyond power scrubs any attempt to get into, to check out. They even had the military under military guard, strength of force and everything, and it was scrubbed. They couldn't get in there to see. So I personally believe something is in there.
Yeah.
But a while ago, some of that gold was moved.
Mm-hmm.
It was moved. I remember it was moved. And they said they had to move it for security reasons and renovation reasons. But they never had a story of it being
coming
put back.
Yeah, did it?
Then they dropped the guards. You remember they had all the security and guards around that place. And then when they cut the budget for security around Fort Knox, and when they altered the mission around Fort Knox and kind of took it out of people's minds, right? Something is different, because if all the gold was there, would they have guard upon guard upon guards over that place?
You would, yeah.
And it'd be a lot of money spent to secure that gold, because that would cause that'd be a lot of gold.
I know. I used to live in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and I've driven by Fort Knox. And when you did drive by Fort Knox, your radio didn't work. Okay, I'm talking about your AM or FM.
Right.
It just
that's right.
Your cell phone. You forget your cell phone. But I mean, it
was a blackout zone.
Yeah, you couldn't even turn a radio on.
That's right.
But that was back 30 years ago.
Then it all went away.
Yeah.
Now here's something else I thought about. Suppose they go in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suppose they go in there. They get in the building, and all of it's not there. Do you know what happens? The same. They can never say that.
I'm just letting
everybody know that. If they come out and say all of the gold is not in Fort Knox, do you guys understand what's going to happen to the dollar? The same moment, people are going to say, "Oh no, oh no, oh no." Yeah. That's what they're going to say.
They're not going to tell us.
And that just wouldn't be. That would be,
Can't tell
so us. To say that they're looking for the gold in Fort Knox. It's just weird, because if it's not there, you can't tell a soul.
No,
unless you wreck this entire country, right?
I don't think so. You can't.
That's
say
just
it.
What do you do in that scenario?
I think maybe
to see.
Maybe the dough goes in if Elon, maybe they know the gold's gone, okay, and then Elon just has to do the thing. Say, guys, guess what? It's there, okay, just to put that away, put that rumor away. That's a conspiracy, but if they know it's gone, Elon's got to come back and tell us it's there. But that's not how he operates.
People are going to want it. If Elon says that money is there, right?
Then it's there.
Everybody's going to want to go and see it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact,
I'm telling you, with the gold,
okay,
they're not going to take his word for it.
Well, because that's why Elon said, okay, let's go find out if it's there. But if I go, he said, I want to stream it live on Twitter. I want to show you on Twitter. Yeah, so he's saying, don't take my word. Let me show you. He's sort of like Missouri,
Yeah, because he knows people, when it comes to that, the whole world is going to be, the whole world except Europe is going to be watching.
Except Europe.
Europe won't have to watch.
They got a lot.
They already know.
They know the truth. Yeah. Okay, now let's. So we'll keep our eye on this Fort Knox thing. Let me ask you about this. Kash Patel finally got confirmed. So I think we got all the president's men and women in place. Yes. Kash Patel, FBI director, he says he's not going to go on a witch hunt. We just got to clean the thing up and move forward. And there's some other things I could say that I don't think are true. So what do you think about that one?
Well, I think that I can't. First of all, sometimes you just can't believe what's happening before your face. I do not subscribe to a matrix. I don't subscribe to waking up in some alternate universe. I certainly don't subscribe to the Mandela effect. But
No,
but
no,
have
no.
we broken the matrix?
I mean, are we in an
I mean,
alternative universe?
sometimes I'm like, did these guys get it right? Something is not right. This stuff isn't right
Maybe
because
CERN pierced the veil, and Mike, you and me and everybody, we've just went into another dimension. What's going
Pastor
on in Washington?
you know what? It's so funny, but I think what's happened is the people of the USA, right?
Mm-hmm.
During the presidency of Trump, the people stood up. They
did.
started to stand up, and they realized
They did.
their own power is what they did. Because prior to that point, everybody else thinking, what can I do? I can't do anything. Well, if everybody in the USA thinks that they can't do anything, nothing will be done, right? Because they're thinking as an individual. Well, when Trump came into power, people stood up for Trump, and they realized, hey, guys, we do have power.
Yeah,
right.
That's
it's just
true.
not us; it's other people. And during this specific election, the country tricked. The Democratic counting machine. They didn't count on that many people voting for Trump. They thought it was going to be a blowout. It was a real.
Do you think
it was a real shock.
Do you think the bullet had a lot to do with it? Do you think the bullet?
Absolutely. When that bullet grazed his ear, right?
Yep.
And he stood up and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." Here's what was polarized within people: that when he did that, he told everybody, "Fight for your country."
Yeah, that's what he
That's
did.
when they began to believe in him. That's when they didn't care what he was talking about. They said, "There's a guy who loves his country," and that polarized some of the more questionable folks. Right?
Yeah, it did.
That did it. And then the vote came in. Now, keep in mind that moment polarized them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But those same people that were polarized because they saw dedication in him and a resolve they had not seen before in anybody else. Those same people that jumped on board, they had to be careful to make sure that they stay on board. Which means, there's an internal voice in America. Sometimes people will give you a false praise just to wreck your career. Pastor, you know that.
Oh yeah.
You know people have come up and have attempted to deify you in some way just to
tear me down later.
Right?
Oh yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
of
right.
Course.
They want because they'll say, "Oh, look at this guy. He's accepting praise." You know how they
Even if you're not.
That's right.
But
so you have people that will do.
Yeah.
They'll do Trump the same way, and so Trump, he needs prayer. He needs a covering. Listen, for what we're dealing with right now, the world cannot help President Trump. Only Christians can, because
Amen.
his
prayer.
The real consolidated enemy against any good in this nation is Satan himself.
Yeah.
And Satan he doesn't care about bullets, but he does care about prayers.
Yes.
And so Trump will have to be covered with prayers from believing Christians.
Yes,
that's the only recourse of action to his steps going forward.
Yeah, men. I think sometimes this is a truth, folks. A lot of times, men don't fall; we just let go. The church,
yeah,
men
we
don't.
That's right. Right.
Men don't fall; we let go. As long as we lift their hands for Moses, as long as we keep praying, then people can overcome temptations and different snares and attacks. If we quit praying, they don't have a chance. Is that? Would you kind of agree with that, Mike? I mean, that's kind of
because we're the ecclesia, we're the church, the body of Christ in the earth. We are the tangible part of the body of Christ. We're the action part, the part that interacts with humanity. And if we don't do anything, there is no body of Christ interceding for anybody. Right.
Yep.
So, we really have to do this. I can tell you this, Pastor Paul, this alien from planet Lasagna disclosure that will soon take the spotlight again.
Well, now, Mike, that's the next webinar in March. Okay, here we go. Disclosure.
It's going to take the spotlight again, but I want everybody to take note of something.
Okay.
What has happened so far has been timed so perfect that nobody understands they're doing exactly what is planned for them to do. Now, I know that's upsetting, but I'm going to tell everybody right now, they're doing exactly what they want you to do. Yeah. Only when a person is operating by way of the Spirit are they not going, are they not fulfilling man's plans.
Amen.
I'll put it that way.
Amen.
If they're not being led by the Spirit, Pastor Paul, I'm telling you, they're fulfilling man's plans.
Amen.
I try to give people examples. Now, people in COT, they know right before planes crash, right? The day before, I'll tell everybody, you know, a plane is going to crash again. It's not over. Or 2 more aircraft are going to crash, and then they do. Now, I'll never tell them, you know, why that comes about or anything else. But I'm telling you that people have, you wouldn't believe how intricate the spider web goes.
Are we getting ready to have a major
in this
disclosure, if you will? They'll call it that, but are we about ready to have a mega
You're gonna have
shock?
It'll be an interruption, right? Okay. Followed by demonstration. First of all, there's something that President Trump said that he did not want to say.
Okay, what's that?
He didn't want to say concerning this UFO thing. So we'll see a retraction of that. Second, we're also going to see, this is where prayer comes in. Everybody should understand that these guys are only men and women. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're not going to have the spiritual insight that a believing Christian would. They're not. They cannot see what we see, right? They cannot see it. So they might call something okay that we see as not okay. And in such a case, they're going to need some advice, right? They're going to need some direction in that, because they do. In the world right now, the Nephilim, this word, the Nephilim, has been confused with a nothingness. The word angel, for example, the angel is not what something is, it's what the sons of God do.
Yeah.
Right?
Messenger.
Angel means messenger. Yeah. The sons of God are messengers. So just like that word, somebody would say, oh, that's an angel, but in truth, that's not what it is. That's what it does. Well, then men are going to make heads or tails of what they figure out. If they see an entity, and that entity has contributed good to anything, right? And taken nothing away from anything. I'm telling you right now, people are going to excuse that entity and the influence of that entity. Now, we all know that Satan manifests as an angel of light.
Yes.
Right? They don't know that. They've not dealt with that. They've not dealt with the true evil that will come up and get beside you and give you a hug, shake your hand, get into your household, feed you and take care of you. That's real evil, because it gets very close to take you down. They don't know that, right? All they know is betrayal and things of that nature. So this next phase is going to be somewhat of a serious phase. But Christians, they have to get ready too, Pastor Paul, because I don't think Christians as a whole, they do believe, and I sympathize with this, because I had to go through some things before I actually, really believe. You could say that when it came to aliens and stuff like that, I gave it no thought. I wouldn't even talk about it. And if I ever met somebody who said, they believed aliens were real a time ago, I would have said, yep, that person they're just not grounded, right? Something like that.
Yeah, I got you.
Until certain things took place in my life, I was like that. But when they take place, I'm telling you right now, it can shake you. It can shake you a little bit. Now, it won't shake you away from Christ, but I mean, it's going to flip your world in 3 different ways. You can't look at the earth the same way anymore. You can't even look at people the same way anymore, because you'll understand there's another element that's constantly here. Also, there's something in the Bible when it says that Satan has accused. In Revelation, when it says he accused them before our God day and night.
Yes.
Talking about Satan, those that dwell in the heavens also. And then it said, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. And the reason why I bring that up is because
it does say that
we could potentially meet a breakaway group of people.
Civilization,
just like you and I.
From
they
the
developed
sea?
a little differently. Yes, they developed a little differently, but they're just like you and I. They just stayed away from everything. It was a breakaway civilization. So if that time comes, they're not aliens. They're human beings, that just broke away.
Okay, all right, so you're saying they're human beings, but they maybe have a little different genetic makeup.
Well, maybe they may be a little, they deal with the same things we deal with. They may look a little different because of the environment.
Okay,
That's all.
I understand.
You know what I mean? But make no mistake, they're human
Like
beings.
albino, kind of maybe a bigger.
Yeah, kind of real,
okay.
real marshmallowy.
Because they've been in a dark,
like
they've been in a dark area. Maybe they've been underground,
artificial light, maybe something like that.
Okay.
They're going to have differences, but there could come a time very soon. I mean,
so in other words, don't freak out if this happens. Don't think they're all demons or they're all aliens. They could actually be sea people.
Well, and listen, you can always identify them by the Messiah, by their own Messiah. I'll tell you right now, if somebody if they do not recognize Jesus of Nazareth, they are of Satan, period.
Well, I agree
because
with that.
Even if we have a breakaway civilization, their Messiah is going to be Jesus of Nazareth. They're going to deal with the same Lucifer we deal with, period. Right? They're going to deal with the same thing. And so that's the identification point. If they acknowledge Christ and say he has risen, well, then there you go. But if they don't, no.
That's true with any human being walking around on the earth with us right now.
That's
the next door neighbor. Okay.
That's right. It's kind of like that tribe that's in South America right now, right? That they're a different group of people that only only not too many people know about.
Are you talking about the pygmies? I mean,
no. These people they're about the average height of a basketball player, right?
Oh,
I don't think not one of them is under 6 foot.
So they're like,
but they're isolated. They're separated from society. They know all about everybody's societies. They're highly educated, but they don't interact.
Where do they live? Are they in the Amazon somewhere?
That's somewhere in South America, down near the tip of South America, and they just don't interact with anybody.
We're not talking about tall whites. Are you talking about the tall white? No.
Okay. These are human beings.
Okay. Okay.
But my point is that they broke away in the 1500s. Right?
Okay.
And they never came back to this society. But yes, they are down there, right?
Well, it makes sense.
Developmental things going on.
You know, when I was thinking about this, my son went to Peru, and and so he comes back and he's telling me, he says, "Look, the Incas were a civilization of people, very brilliant. They understood sacred geometry. I mean, they knew how to put big, huge stones.
Right.
They took them from 25 miles away, and somehow they got them there and put them together. And then when the Spaniards came, and then they took over and all that, and they built their stuff. But when the earthquakes hit, the Spaniards' ruins and buildings and stone, they fell. But the Incas has never fallen.
There you go.
They were brilliant people, but got overtaken.
That's right. Plus, Pascal, according to history, we are the offspring of those who took shelter in different places in the ground, right, during the last calamity, are we not? Right? We're talking about after Noah, after Noah.
Yeah. Okay.
There were other calamities, and people took shelter, and here we come out from those folks too. So I'm just telling everybody that when calamities happen, some people duck for cover, and they'll come out later on in years, and then they'll repopulate or do whatever. And some people don't; they stay in those areas wherever they went. Just like the military force that we have in the oceans. Under the sea, we have a military force under the sea. The USA does. We have science bases under the sea.
Really?
Right? 8-month rotations. That's right. They don't come topside for about 8 months.
You're not talking about Garcia, Diego's Garcia Island or something. You're talking underneath the ocean.
No. These are our undersea bases right under the USA right now. Right.
Okay.
We have undersea operations that take place. They go right from the East Coast to the West Coast, but they're in the water and underneath the United States of America. So what I'm saying is that we have lots of things in the ocean, and those in the ocean, they know about the other people in the ocean. Just so you know that.
Okay.
But you can't tell everybody topside because they'll say they're aliens or something like that. Where they come from, and they don't have Social Security cards like we do, or ID cards like.
They're a different civilization. I mean,
to have a breakaway group It's no big deal. That's what I'm telling everybody. So
Okay.
don't freak out if they hear about a breakaway group. Now, don't get that confused with some of these other things that can also come out of the ocean, right? But we're talking about people, by and large people. That's all.
You're not talking about demonic entities or alien.
No,
You're talking
not
about people, but a
right,
breakaway civilizations.
right.
Okay.
Does that mean there are no demons in the sea? No, it does not. There are things in the ocean that are, not right. But we have people right now, right, that are on rotation that have been under the ocean for, maybe a year or two.
Do we got people on
maybe
Mars
8 months
too?
or so.
Do we got people on Mars?
Have to believe that. What's the lady's name? That talks about Mars a lot.
Laura
have to give you the answer to that.
Well,
I'm leaving all that.
Okay, well, Laura Eisenhower is going to. She's already accepted. She's going to be one of our guests again in March when we do our webinar. She's coming back, and I'm going to ask her again. She said that her grandfather did meet with these entities 3 different times, 3 different locations, and she said she was part of that secret. She never went. But she said she was scheduled to go. So you want me to leave that with her? Let's let her tell some.
Yeah, leave that with her. She'll tell you.
Okay.
Because here's why. I know they keep talking about going to Mars, right?
Right.
And in the year 2000, I told some people something. I said, listen, because they said, have we gone to Mars or something like that? I said, listen, if they all of a sudden come up in maybe a handful of years, if they come up with an engine that can get us to Mars within about 3 days, I said, then yes, we have gone to Mars. So, but first they need to introduce an engine that can make it to Mars within 3 days, right?
Yeah.
And then after they make that engine, then everything will be softly disclosed. It'll be like, we set that stuff up there and we didn't. So if everybody starts hearing of an engine that's capable of taking any vessel from the Earth to Mars,
then they're already there. Then they're already there.
Then you have your answer, right? Yeah. Then you have your answer. Because are there ships with 3 S's in them? Yes. Is there a classification of naval officer that starts with a very weird prefix? Yes. So it's not like captain. There's a prefix and then captain, a prefix and then major, a prefix and then colonel, prefix and then admiral. So yes, they have strange prefixes. Are there applications that you run across sometimes that are quite odd in nature? You have to have rigorous athletic ability or physical strength to join up with. Yes, and they include. You cannot have previous space or previous experience in space. You can't have. That's a disqualifier. You can't even be a part of this group if you've already been to space. If you've been part of NASA or JPL or some experimental group or something like that, you cannot be a part of this group, and they have applications for things like that. That will be that's an exposure thing. If you go to space with any other group, you're exposed to radiation in higher doses than everybody else, and so that would disqualify you from absorbing any more radiation, a disqualifier. So yeah, there are telltale marks that those groups are real, that those vessels and ships are real. Can anybody prove it? No, I don't think so. So it's just not worth the conversation right now because there's no evidence that anybody can actually.
We have to wait. We have to wait till we get a little more disclosure.
But as far as the in the water people,
yeah.
Oh yeah, they're going to have evidence. And so just to know that before that ever takes place can settle folks.
So when Apollyon comes out of the bottomless pit, is he coming? Now that's a spiritual realm. Is that a spiritual realm?
You know what, Pastor Paul, that is such a subject. I think that is a spiritual realm, yes, but I believe that's something physical.
Something physical too. Okay.
Yes.
It's physical, but spiritually empowered.
Yeah. It's funny because you can take, if you go to some of these Native American tribes, some of the more like the ones in Peru, right, that don't receive too many visitors, and you show them pictures of what people have seen, they'll tell you these are the people that live underground. This is where the dead go, they'll say. They live where the dead go.
Wow.
Talking about the gray aliens, they'll say they live where the dead go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they'll say the dead can sometimes occupy those bodies and do things, but they go where the dead go. They know those things are underneath their feet right there in Peru. And what just happened in Peru? Well, I guess folks will find that they're finding all sorts of stuff down there, right? Through drones and all that technology, they're finding some pretty interesting things. Yeah. So I think that's an evolving story that will come out. I believe that the current administration if they're not going to have a disclosure like people would want, although it'll be devastating to some people. It will, because there's no way. I don't believe there's no way we're going to go through this year without some sort of interference. I just don't see it happening this year. People have become too immoral, right?
Yes.
That gives a lot of room for demonic entities to operate.
Yes, it does.
And they're fooling the masses. There's a type manifestation, Pastor Paul, of some kind of weird ship right now. I don't believe
in the air or in the sea. I mean,
on the ground.
On the ground. A weird ship.
Yeah. I'm sure that story is going to come to the forefront. But people are having problems with entities now. This is openly. Yeah. They're having issues with entities.
Yes.
I do not believe. Do you, Pastor? If everybody knew that some weird group was going to send a fake alien invasion, do you think they would send a fake alien invasion?
No.
It wouldn't work anymore.
No, it won't work.
If everybody knows about it, it's not going to work. That's right. Here's it. There is something I believe it deals with that. But Von Braun is the source for the fake alien invasion. Von Braun is.
Yes, he is.
Von Braun's secretary is the one who spread that information around.
Yes, she did.
Von Braun got that from Hitler. That's what Hitler wanted to do to gain the rest of the masses. And but think of it this way. What if when the fake alien invasion comes, it's not fake?
Then we got a problem. Then we've got a demonic invasion, a demonic release, and you've got a polyon. I mean, that's what the scripture says. This thing comes out of the bottomless pit.
And we're not talking about blue beam.
No, we're not
talking about that.
No.
That's a counter intel thing.
That's right. This is real, and it's bringing with it demons so thick as smoke, locusts and creatures, and so it's demonic and physical. It's spiritual and physical.
That's
and
right.
I wanted to ask you that. I'm so glad you confirmed that, because I've known that, but it's like, how do I get that across to people?
You know what? Because people, they can laugh about the stuff now. There's a reason that legitimate folks have seen what they call cryptids. There is a reason people have seen these hallways in military places with these canisters on the left and the right full of bodies.
Yeah.
Like a brand new human body. There's a reason for this, right? You know, people talk about clones and everything else. You can make a clone, but where are you going to get the spirit from? Right? Where are you going to, if anybody thinks a clone is going to naturally have a spirit in it, they're wrong.
No,
they're wrong. So they have to have a procedure, some type of ceremonial thing for that.
To bring in a spirit, to bring in a demonic entity to fill that. Yeah.
That's right. They have to have a ceremony for that. And it has to come from a specific bloodline that these entities are used to. That's why they cling to families, because they get used to, the body. Because if a demon inhabits the wrong person, they could kill that person in a heartbeat. Right. So they have to have a compatible host, somebody who is, their parents are not washed by the blood of the Lamb, somebody whose parents are not washed by the blood of the Lamb.
Amen.
So that's why they follow bloodlines. They follow a corruptness within people. So we have a lot of stuff coming forward we're going to have to deal with. But this fake alien invasion narrative is foolishness.
It ain't going to happen
at its best, because even those things that come out of the bottomless pit. Now I'm talking to real believers.
Yeah.
Real believers don't have to worry about it, because these things are commanded not to touch. Pastor, this is going to trip you out. They're commanded not to touch any green thing.
That's
or
right.
any tree, no grass, no anything. And they cannot touch anybody with the seal of God in the
That's
forehead,
right. That's what it says.
Which means they can't touch anybody who belongs to the living God.
Amen.
Anybody who believes in Christ, who has truly accepted him, is sealed by the Holy Spirit. And they cannot be touched anyway.
They can only torment.
But here's something funny.
They can only torment the ones who are blasphemous toward God.
Right. That's right. I mean, real
Torment
torment. It
them.
says, in those
5
days,
months.
men will seek death, but will not find.
That's right.
Men will desire to die, and death will flee from them. I'm going to point out something else too.
Okay.
Right. In Revelation, it says they're not to touch or harm any green thing, any tree, right?
Or
Any
grass.
of those things. Isn't it funny that in these end times, you have an angel who's going to open up that bottomless pit, and Apollyon and his group pops out, and then, but you have a movement here on this earth where people don't want to hurt any green thing or any tree. Don't you find that to be the weirdest, strangest thing you ever heard? As though, they're born of the same.
Are they so they're operating in that same spiritual mindset?
Pastor, there you are. I mean, is that, you can't make that one up.
No,
you can't even call that one.
It's the green religion. It's the Green New Deal. It's the green. Oh, it's true. It is true. I mean, you can't make that up. It is crazy.
Yes, you can't make that up.
Oh, no. All right, Mike. Well, hey, this has been great. This has been great. Okay, I'm pumped for Saturday, guys. I'm pumped. Mike I finally got a confirmation from someone who I know knows. So, thank you, Mike, for that. And I can't wait till we talk again next week. What are we going to talk about next week, Mike?
Oh my goodness. I think, at some point everything starts blowing up. Basically, the weather's going to be a big deal,
Okay.
Somehow, Pastor Paul, we got to get people prepped for the weather. We do.
We'll talk about it next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Mike, thank you for coming tonight. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed it.
Pastor Paul, God bless you. And don't let the volcano scare you.
No, I won't let. We don't have any here in Florida, but I'll be careful.
No.
Okay.
Not in Florida.
Thank you.
God bless you, Pastor Paul.
God bless you, brother. Thank you so much.